All righty, righty, righty. Welcome, everybody. It has been 90 days and some change, and it is AI office hours. So if that's what you're here for, you are in the right place, folks. My name is Jason Claus. I'm going to be your host. More about that in a minute. We are Endsight, and I'm looking at the names. A lot of names here I'm recognizing. Some I don't. For those of you that might not be an Endsight client, Endsight does computer system support and other things. But more importantly, our purpose is to help others thrive. And we have four core values that we think serve that purpose. I'm not going to read those to you, but helping others thrive is one of the reasons why we open source this content for the broader community. And so if you're not an Endsight client and you find this useful, we are super thrilled. We actually believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. And we hope that you don't just enjoy this one and get value from this one, but you come back for this and other office hour content sessions that we do. Our purpose, as I said, is to help others thrive. It underpins sort of a shared belief that we have with our clients. That belief is that when your technology works, your work gets easier. That's what we believe. And we have four core service delivery areas that serve that. At the managed IT level, we just believe that well-built, well-maintained, well-supported networks just are more stable and they create fewer problems. And that helps make people's lives easier. We also believe that networks should be safe against the outside world, and that is process and controls and technology and training for your people. And our team works with our clients to deliver that, dramatically reducing the likelihood that a cyber attack succeeds in those environments. We also know that most of you have lots of systems and lots of data, and none of it is very well connected. And Michelle, who I'm going to introduce to you in a little bit, she and her team work with our clients to make sure that those systems get integrated and connected, make sure that data is normalized and that a property in one database is the same as a property in another database. They work to expose that data in analytics and reporting, and our clients use that information because they can trust it to make good decisions and steer the business. And then finally, what we're here to talk about today, AI and automation. This is new. It's just coming up. I see a hand raised. We'll get to you in just a second. Brian and his team, they work with our clients to help implement their very first corporate-wide or enterprise-wide LLM. This is a big thing that folks are looking into right now. He's helping them to write their AI policies, and he's helping to train users on these tools and also to help identify good opportunities for AI. And so that's our quick commercial and what we're doing and why we're here. I don't know. Does anyone see if the hand raise is still up? I can't tell if it is still up or not. I don't think it is, so I'll keep going. All right. The team that we got here today, if you've been to an AI office hours before, you are familiar with these. Brian Torado is our director of AI and automation. Eugene Matisco is one of our Power Platform solution architects. And Michelle Brzezinski is the manager of our development organization. And she's mostly here just to keep us honest. You're going to do that, right, Michelle?
As honest as I am.
There we go. Oh, what? You should be a politician, Michelle. That's amazing. All right, Eugene, Brian, thank you for making time. I'm really glad you're here, and you guys know how much I like doing these with you. So, and of course, I'm Jason Claus. I'm the director of marketing, and I'm sorry, everybody, you're just stuck with me. And if you've ever been here before, you know that that's just kind of a fact, right? All right, this is the third AI office hours focus area of our crawl, walk, run series. We started off with Eugene sharing a best practice prompt engineering. Stephen Hicks joined us too to talk a little bit about security and controls that need to be put in place with AI. In the second session in the series, Eugene actually built an agent that connected to a CRM database that he built it as a demo environment. And I'm pretty certain he used AI to do it, but it was a really impressive episode. And then today, Eugene is going to be sharing an AI-enabled automation that I think is going to be is going to provide some real insight to you and some real possibilities for you. So we're excited to share that with you. Our agenda for today. We're going to get through welcome and housekeeping. We're almost through that. I guess the last piece would be if you have questions, please make sure to drop those in the chat or drop them in the Q&A, and we will make sure to get to those. Torado is going to update. He has got an AI update up for us. So what has he seen over the last 90 days and a little bit of change? Not to, in the work that he's doing with our clients, what he's seeing out there in the world, and what he's doing as it relates to helping AI Endsight adopt AI. Eugene, as I mentioned, has a workflow demonstration to walk us through, and it's really pretty cool. It really is. I'm excited. I'm excited for him to share it with you. And then we're this time we are going to leave enough time for Q&A. So keep those questions, and we will make sure to save enough time for you. And with that, Brian, it's time for you to do some talking and for me to shut up.
Sounds good. Thanks,
At least for a
Jason.
little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason. So I'm Brian Tirado. I'm the lead here of AI and automation at Endsight. I've got about 10 minutes, and I want to use those to walk you through some data that I think you might find useful. We're going to look at adoption numbers, what people are actually getting out of AI, and then some of the risk side as well, because there's a real gap between how fast people are adopting AI and how prepared most organizations are for it. So these numbers are from 2025 and 2026. And like any surveys, you're going to find a lot of different surveys. So look at these numbers and think directionally accurate. And so let's go and see what the data says here. So this first slide, about 55% of small businesses are using AI. That's from a Thrive number from mid 2025. A year before that, it was 39%. A more recent survey by the US Chamber and others are putting that closer to 68 to 70% now. The trend line hasn't slowed down, and that 63% of people using AI say they're using it daily for work. They're not experimenting, they're using it as part of their flow. The SBA did a longitudinal study, and they found the gap between small businesses and large enterprises AI adoption, it's shrinking really fast. Small businesses used to lag behind by maybe double, and that gap is almost closed now. So it's worth paying attention to whether you're using AI already or just trying to figure out where to start. So here's what most people are getting out of it. The average SMB worker using AI saves about 5.5 hours a week. Managers save around 7. So that's from business.com and a dialogue survey of over 1,000 SMB workers. To kind of put that into perspective, that's most of a full workday back every week per person. But do the math on your own team. 10 people, even half of those savings each, and you've added the equivalent of a part-time employee without hiring anyone. Now, I don't want to oversimplify that, of course. Not every hour saved automatically turns into revenue or time that is usefully applied to other things, but the data is pretty consistent that people that are using AI are spending less time on some of the repetitive work and more time on the stuff that actually needs the human touch. And companies are seeing the biggest gains aren't necessarily the ones with the best tools. They're the ones that where usage is more structured and intentional rather than scattered. So here's another pattern we see over and over again in the data. You don't need to convince your employees to use AI. They already are. 80% of workers using AI use AI at work. In a recent LEI survey of conference attendees, that number was closer to 90, 95%, something like that. So really high adoption. Also, that's a specific segment of people as well. But nonetheless, you can see the adoption is fairly high. But even with that high usage, only about 20% of the folks are using company approved tools. Everyone else, they're on personal accounts, free tiers, whatever they found on their own. A CyberSafe and National Cybersecurity Alliance survey found that 43% of employees admit to sharing sensitive data with AI tools without their employer knowing. So it's not just that people are using AI, it's that they're using it in ways that also could be invisible to you as well.
Sorry, a little bit behind there, Brian. I got you.
That's that's okay. Um, so this is what we call the bring your own AI problem. Now there's some good news here. Netscape Scope's 2026 Cloud and Threat Report found that personal AI account usage at work has started to actually drop over the past year. So companies that are putting governance in place, they're making progress, but still almost half of the workers are on unmanaged accounts. And when companies try blocking AI tools entirely, about 45% of those workers, they find a workaround to continue to use those tools. One more stat that's worth kind of sitting with is 24% of employees say they trust their AI tools more than their managers. I don't know, I'll let that one speak for itself. But what it tells you is that people have already made up their minds about AI being useful. The real question is how to channel that energy in a way that's both safe and also productive as well. So this is the part of the conversation that I think deserves a lot of attention. So 57% of employees admit to putting sensitive data into their free tier AI tools. Of those free tools, uh, the conversations can be used to train models, and that's the default setting. IBM's 2025 cost of data breach report found that shadow AI incidents now account for 1 in 5 breaches. So that's like 20%. And for smaller organizations, a single incident involving client data or IP, it can mean a lot of different things. Lost contracts, compliance headaches, damage to relationships that you've spent a lot of time building. So Netscope also found the average organization now sees 223 Gen I related data policy violations. This is across their telemetry per month. And that number has doubled year over year. Another interesting one, Menlo Security, from their telemetry data, have logged over 150,000 copy and paste events into AI tools in a single month in their customer base. 65% of shadow AI incidents result in some kind of personal data exposure. 40% of those involve intellectual property. The root cause is mostly, in most cases, pretty straightforward. People using personal accounts because they want to get the work done. And what can we do? We can help them by helping them adopt business class accounts. So let me break down what actually goes wrong with personal accounts because I think it's helpful to see how it's laid out. So consumer AI accounts can use your conversational data to do model training. When somebody leaves the company, their personal account and everything that they've put into it goes with them. Free plans have rate limits and fall back to weaker models, so you get inconsistent quality across your team. And you really have no visibility into what's being shared or how. And personal accounts don't come with enterprise controls that most compliance frameworks, if a compliance framework applies to you, expect. So no single sign-on, no central administration, no data handling commitments. IBM found that 97% of organizations that had an AI breach lacked basic access controls. So these aren't really edge cases. This is the state when there's no managed tools in place.
Hey,
Business class
Brian.
AI. Yeah.
So I get asked a lot, like, what does model training mean? Like, that's one of the first things you highlighted, right? Like, personal
Yeah.
accounts are responsible for some data training model. What does that mean in light of security? Because, I mean, models are accessible even with an enterprise class account or with business tools. And obviously, we want those models to learn, but that difference is different when you don't have those.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different things there. So in personal accounts and free accounts, the default model training is on. And what that means is if you have a Claude or if you have an OpenAI ChatGPT account or a Gemini account, those conversations can be used to train future models. So that data doesn't stay with you. It can be used potentially for training. And then there's something that's a little bit different there too that I just want to highlight. Having that controlled by default in a business class solution um, allows you to not have that worry, but it doesn't eliminate your ability to build memories within a particular AI platform so that as you continue to use it, it knows more about you, just that that data is not shared. So it becomes more personal still, even though that data sharing is not on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
Keeping us
Okay,
honest.
keeping us honest. So did
We
I
get that
talk
question
about?
a lot. So
Yeah. So I think I'm on the next slide maybe. So let's go ahead and advance one. And so here's a governance picture. This is all about AI policy and those kinds of things. 77% of businesses have no written AI policy. 85%, they haven't updated their acceptable use policy for AI. 80% of workers have had no formal AI training. And the one that I keep coming back to, which I just find very interesting, is 67% of employees don't even know the company has an AI policy, even when one exists. A policy, of course, that nobody knows about isn't protecting anyone. Gallagher just published a 2026 AI survey of 1,200 global businesses and found about 43% still haven't introduced formal AI risk management framework. Cisco's 2026 benchmark found that while 75% of organizations say they have some kind of governance process, only about 12% describe it as mature. So there's a big gap between having something on paper and something that actually works. On the training side, BCG found that about 5 hours is the threshold where employees show a real jump in both usage and confidence. Uh, so that's about a half a day over some period of time. So that investment is relatively straightforward, and the difference that it makes, it can be very impactful.
There's a real place where a light bulb needs to go off, I feel like. I know in my own journey that there was a moment where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it can do that?" And then it was, "What else can it do?" And so it's kind of 5 hours to get there is what it sounds like, yeah?
I think they call that a gateway drug, Jason.
They might.
They might.
That very much aligns with my AI journey thus far,
Yeah.
right?
Any more?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you don't mind advancing it, Jason, to the next slide.
I don't mind, and I should pay attention to my job. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm doing a lousy job here with this.
That's okay, no problem. What does this all add up to? There's 5 things I'd recommend based on the data, what the data is telling us. First, find out what your people are already using. You don't need a fancy audit, just ask. You'll learn actually quite a lot. Second, write a short AI policy. It doesn't have to be long. A couple of pages generally covers it. What's approved, what's off limits, how data should be handled. The important thing is that people know that it exists. Third, give your team access to the business grade AI tools. So we're talking like roughly it's $25 plus or minus a little bit per month per user for something like a ChatGPT business, a Claude team account, or a Microsoft Copilot license. Fourth, invest in some training. 5 hours is a number BCG identified as a tipping point. That's where confidence and adoption start to stick. And fifth, measure what happens. Track how people use the tools. Ask questions. See what results they're getting, and then double down on what works. And none of this has to be a massive project. Start with one or two of these and build from there. And
Brian,
yeah,
on point number 3, how do you do like is it one that you pick? Do you pick multiple ones? Like what goes into this? Because if you go on, you go on YouTube or you go on LinkedIn, there's lots of different advice and it's really hard like Claude's the best one this week until ChatGPT's the best one until
yeah,
whatever it is, right?
yeah.
What is one? Yeah.
So choosing can be difficult, and we're happy to be here as part of your journey and help you choose. And like Jason said, they're all kind of advancing really fast, and one that is the best today might not be the best tomorrow. I think that's great for us also because we just keep getting the new tools that they release, the better intelligence. The AI is as dumb as it'll ever be today, right? Tomorrow it's
Right.
even going to be better, and it's this kind of constant battle of all of the different vendors. Um, what I would say is let's get on a call potentially and let's
Hmm.
just talk it through. Like, what do you need? What are your use cases? What are you trying to do? Because that really will inform the journey that you want to go on.
I think
Okay.
the user base informs some of that too. I mean, we already talked about the fact that most users are using AI somewhere, and users who are a little bit more familiar with one over the other may have a feeling towards what they like and why they like it, and that can also inform the whole business decision because you're lowering the learning curve a little bit with people who already have experience in a thing.
Actually, let's do a little impromptu poll here, or not necessarily a poll. Just drop in the chat what your favorite LLM is. Probably everybody on this call already has one. I'd love to hear. I already know that Ross is on Claude, but please drop. There we go. Copilot, very good. Thank you. Start to see some. Yep, Claude,
Jason Claus,
ChatGPT.
what's your favorite Jason
Ah,
Claus? What's your favorite Michelle?
Claude,
Why
Claude,
don't we let
Claude, Claude, all day long, Claude.
honestly, I want to defer to you. Here's what I think. I have a favorite right now. I am still subject to the shiny object syndrome of every time I get into get into my feeds, get into my Facey page feeds, or whatever it is, right? John,
Yeah.
that's a John Grover. If you're on here, that's a call back to you. The Facey pages. But one of the things I keep coming back to, and I think this is really important to share with people, is that whatever's the brand new shiny thing, what I'm starting to learn is if I just am a little bit disciplined, I'll start to see whatever that shiny thing was in one tool will be approximated in the other tool, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think there's a measure of discipline that one should apply, because you it's really easy to get caught in this. Oh, I got to be over here, and I got to be over here, and I got to be over here. And there's a lot of people that I think are making a lot of money for creating that FOMO and making us do that.
Yeah.
So I'd caution against it, I guess, would be my advice. And to directly answer the question, I'm spending most of my time in Claude.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think the point that you made though, whatever it is, I mean, um, if you're leaning in and investing in that platform, you're going to see components from all the other different platforms exist in that platform that you're using. And that leaning in and understanding and using is really where you're going to gain a lot of value. And whether you end up staying with a particular tool or moving to a different tool, that learning goes with you to the other tool.
Hmm. Yeah. Everybody, I really appreciate you joining in here. There's a wide variation of what people are using. So to validate your point, Brian, that it's we're kind of in lots of different places.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to pass it over to Eugene. Is that all right, Jason?
I got a slide that I worked on really hard with a fancy picture of Eugene.
And it turned out
So
fabulous.
that's right. You like the little shadow underneath? That was
Mhm.
a copy and paste. Take over, buddy.
Sure. I'm sharing my screen now, actually. Can everyone confirm you can see my Microsoft Teams right now?
Confirmed.
I
All
can
right.
see it. Yeah.
All right. And we're off and running. No pun intended. So, welcome. This is the third session that we actually had in our crawl, walk, run session. This is more running today. So, let's just jump right into it a little bit. Everybody hates expense reports, but everyone's highly motivated to submit them and get reimbursed. So, what do people dislike about it? Well, I got to collect the receipts. I got to log in. I've got to go to the company system. I've got to type it in. I've got to align it to a date. It may not match a policy. What happens if I enter the wrong information from the receipt from what the total was physically on the receipt? Somebody's got to correct that. They have to send it back. What are the line items? Pain in the butt. Um, so, what happens if we actually make this easier? So today we're actually going to go through and say, hey, what if you were just at a dinner or you're flying home on the airplane and you took a photo and you just emailed it. How about expenses at insight.net or another mailbox that's actually just listening for anything to come in to start to process that information? And before a lot of people say, hey, Eugene, hey, my system already does OCR, which is optical character recognition to pull information out of that. Um, Hold on, this is AI automation. It does a lot more. So buckle up. So exactly what we built today, one email, multiple receipts, AI does the rest. So let's go over this a little bit more. What's a good use case? Why did I select this? Well, everyone has expense reports, no matter what business that you're in. So it's getting that done. So I wanted to make something relatable to everybody. We know everyone's process is different. Everyone's account payable system is different. So um, this system will actually show you autonomous AI agents, something that's always on, it's always waiting, and it's always getting ready to process on its own and at least through the first level of approval to find out if anyone violated a policy or anything else. So this is not a chatbot. This is actually an automated flow, and we're going to show it to you in a little more. So let's actually set the stage a little more. So inside of some information I have, let's say I have some receipts that are up. I just got back, let's say last week from going to a webinar. I have dinner. I've got some sunglasses that I bought in my camera roll. I've got a ride share that I took. I've got the PDF documents that I have. I got to submit an expense report. So if you're anything like me, I would usually at dinner snap a picture really quick, and I want to fire it off right then and there as opposed to waiting till the end of the week. But this system's smart enough to just go through an email, grab what's there, and start to process it. So, just for an example of what we'll go through and show today, these are some mock receipts that I actually had showing that, hey, I attended an item. It's got, once again, it looks like a place setting. This is a natural picture. Somebody's not zoomed in exactly. You know, they don't have a glare on the screen, but it's real life. There's a lot of things in here. So, AI is going to grab this and it's actually going to pull it out. Then it's going to confirm it against some other items. So, what's going to happen right now? We have unstructured text. That usually means that's the bane of my existence. Somebody always wants to do something with unstructured information, like a picture or an Excel that's set up, or something in a Word document, or it's in a table. Um, Structured is something like it could be an Excel table, it could be an Access table, it could be a Dataverse table, it could be SQL. Something in a database has columns, has properties. Those are the things that you know, in AI or you just computer automation, we actually want to use. We can do more with that. So we have to take that unstructured data and make it into structured data. So let's go through what our system will actually do, and then I'm going to show it to you live. So it's going to extract information from pictures that have been sent in. It'll evaluate those then against the company policy. If it rejected, it's going to explain to the user why it was rejected. And then ultimately, if it's approved and the system tells it, it's actually going to go through and it's going to wire these information to the appropriate manager or multi-stage approval, or depending on values, it'll go to different places. So this is the policy document I drew up. Just wanted people to tone in a little bit to see it here. This is a mock item that I had. You'll notice I'll go through here and I just have rules in here. And I'm not unlike a lot of yours. A lot of people have, what is your policy for expensing or not expensing? So I made some rules up that'll come into play. Don't submit anything that's over 30 days. One or more person, I'm sorry, only the named traveler and the employee should be on an item that they are expensing. You could even go through and find out what the airfare is that we're allowed to pay in maximum tickets, lodging, ride share, conferences. Notice, hey, never any personal items. But we even go through some of this document a little bit later and notice here, hey, people can't even submit or expense alcohol in any way. And I put this in here, even though it's a little bit rigid. I'm going to show you an example of this a little bit later. So AI actually, once again, policy document. These are all written with natural language like you all use. This is what AI is going to take a crack at and actually going through and doing the pre-approval or whatever your stages are, if it has to go to somebody else or somebody else after that, if it goes through multiple stages, to wire these through. So with that being said, let's fire an email actually into the system. So I've already prepared an email. I put 7 different items. And once again, some of these are JPEGs. Some of these are PNG files. I actually did include a PDF file that has the registration for everything that I did. Notice these are little pictures of parking. And once again, keep in mind, I accidentally put in here, but I won't know till later, some sunglasses that I put in here are going to be against the company policy. So all I have to do is just send it into the system that I have and let it pick up and run with that. So as we're doing that, like I said, I showed you that document that we have that is the policy. That's driven. That's everything AI is using. We're going to come back to that because that's really powerful to go over later. In this particular case, the automation and the AI that we're using is one of our friends inside of Power Platform. Once again, we can use any tool for this. We're a Microsoft shop, so it's one of the items that we have out there. And this is what a low code, no code tool looks like. If you ever wondered, notice we're not seeing command lines. You're not seeing something that's in over your head. You're seeing boxes and items that you could actually bring in and different connectors of items that you can connect to. And I can connect to Excel, or I can go to a Microsoft form, or I could go to any third party tool. There are 1,600 connectors that are actually in Power Platform and Power Automate that you can access. And this is what a flow looks like, the one that I created. We're not going to go through too much of this, but I wanted to show you how friendly this is. Where, hey, wait for an email to arrive, extract some information out, remove any inline attachments like a signature file so it doesn't try to process that. Go grab the expense policy. And then for every single attachment, it's going to grab a file. It's going to share it to somebody's OneDrive. It's going to build a thumbnail and a bunch of other items. And it's eventually going to log this even to our backend system, which is Dataverse. We even have it alerting the manager on Teams. So they don't even have to leave their application and even go to their ERP or accounts payable system to approve this to move on. So once again, more than happy to go through this. As a matter of fact, in our AI series, we may go ahead and actually show how to build some of these flows. But now that I bought a little bit of time, that email that just came through just hit. It started going through these and crunching on it. So let's go to the first item. So that item that we talked about in here, notice this is Microsoft Teams. So what happened as of this point? Well, we talked about the system actually got that first receipt. It extracted all of the information out. It provided me a quick picture that I could click and go to where that resides in a central location. So it's out of emails. You don't have to chase that anymore. We have it centralized. Notice it's already able to pull out the vendor, the receipt date, classified the category. The payment on here, it couldn't figure out. Doesn't know if it was cash or anything else, but you'll see some examples later where it does that. It got a subtotal, it got the tax, it's got total information. And then ultimately, well, this item was rejected. Remember, what we did was send this into the system and it extracted all of these line items, and then it evaluated these against our policy. And in here, notice, it was rejected because the alcohol items were actually in here and according to the policy, any receipt containing that is automatically rejected in full. If your policy says it would have to go to manager approval, you could do that as well. If your policy says just remove those line items on behalf of the user and advance this, you could write that as well. Let's scroll down a little more. So that was a good example of an item that was, according to our policy, flat out rejected. Me as the user that submitted it.
That's off of a picture, everybody. The user sent a picture. Actually, lots of pictures, which I want to talk about that in a little bit, Eugene, but keep going. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just really excited.
No problem. And we're going to get to how this makes sense in this. We have a bunch of other applications. Let's go to the other ones that were included. So in this one, hey, notice we're airline receipt. We know those rules. And it looked it up and it actually pulled out. Notice this one, it noticed it was Amex. It was able to pull that information out. So all of this, it's abstracting, it's grabbing information. It's even putting in notes into a system for you if your system accepts notes. And you could tell it with instructions, the AI, what you would like or what you want it to pull out, what you want it to ignore, or what you want it to pay special attention to. And then ultimately, I set myself as my manager. It's always nice to approve my own expense reports. But imagine I'm the manager. I didn't even have to leave Microsoft Teams in this case because our policy says our managers will approve it within Teams, but they can get this in an email. They could get it in Teams. They could get it through any media, through a text message, whatever medium they want. Ours is just, hey, someone's going to approve it here. Approved. next time Michelle says I can get first class.
Sure, she will. Right after she gets it.
Notice it's going to thank me as the manager in this case, and I know I'm playing two roles, the submitter and the manager, but this is how it would work.
It's what we do in dev. We wear multiple hats.
Yeah. Notice
in dev, it gets a little bit like in the development, like outside of that, we don't. Just to be clear with everybody.
No.
It took that information. It actually went back. And once again, I want to take a second. What are you not seeing behind the scenes? Well, remember the system that I'm logging this to, and this could be any system. It could be Excel. It could be your AP system. It could be anything else. But if I were to refresh some of the data in here, you'll now see items from the 26th, which is today, of all of these. And this is the line item. We have two tables. And I don't want to get into too many technical things, but we're actually extracting each one of these out and finding out if they're flagged or they have different issues. So you even notice the line items are getting flagged on an individual level. The AI is even writing into here why it was a policy violation because it knew, hey, as soon as somebody had in that receipt, you have a cab? Great. This is alcohol that's not allowed. And it's flagging all of this for me. It's even tracking everything. And then the overall expense layer, one-to-many relationship between the line items and the master item, those are all put in here as well. And it's putting those in. It's pulling in what was the total, the tax. Eventually, as we approve these, it's going to come back and mark them. What were the manager's comments? What was the time and the date? This can go into any system that you have. It doesn't have to be Dataverse. Long as
Eugene,
yeah.
somebody asked in the chat, the AI engine that you're using in here, it's not really Copilot Studio. It's not really ChatGPT or Claude or any of those flavors. What flavor of AI are you using to do this?
Good question. Believe it or not, in this particular one, we are using a Microsoft tool. So let me actually bring that back up and I'll show it to you quickly. The one that actually does the intelligence is called, let's see, we'll go through the list. Just run a prompt. Inside of this run a prompt, inside of Microsoft, I have the option of giving it a pre-configured prompt, or in this one, I gave it. And notice when I'm feeding this prompt, hey, here's that file, that image file. I'm going to give this to you and you're going to give me information back. So if I were to actually go into one of the calls, because this does multiple AI calls, just first extracting the information and then another one analyzing it and another one routing it. So we have AI with multiple places. And I know this is a little hard to read. Let me make it bigger. Don't go too glossy-eyed here, but I'm actually saying, hey, in natural language, I'm telling it what to do. You're an expense analyzer. You're giving this image a PDF. Your job is to determine if it's valid. So once again, good prompt engineering. Remember back at crawl, that actually kind of plays here. And now I'm telling it what to do. Use this structure, which basically comes back. Remember all those fields that it had? I told it, hey, go out and do these. But what you're looking for here in the upper right-hand corner, I'm allowed to pick whatever model I want inside of this. And notice, if anyone knows, hey, I'm using GPT-4.1 here, I could actually have it pick Claude. I could have it pick GPT-4. Use the right model for the right task. Otherwise, you're overpaying. I wouldn't want to use GPT-5 reasoning for just look at this image and extract information out. But a little later, when it's analyzing your rules, you may want it to actually have some of the information in there, use reasoning for how it arrived at those.
But the model, obviously it's Power BI combined with, Power Apps combined with Power Automate, all that. And does that use the AI builder token things inside of Power Automate then? And then, so the object itself called into the Power Automate, then you define the language you want to use with it.
Correct.
Got it.
The items that we actually have there, remember, AI is not free to use. Somebody has a $20 subscription, or every iteration you send it through with an API command. The currency in AI is tokens. So give you a quick hint, when I put one of these in, it costs me 0.7 tokens. And usually your tokens are bought per model and they cost so much. I don't want to make you go glossy-eyed, but it costs us 1/7 of a single token to do this extraction. And with this low model, I think I could use over 1 million and it would only cost $5 or $6. So that gives you an idea of how many we could go through with your standard tenant. And if you need more tokens, you could buy add-on packs. So no problem there. Microsoft has you covered.
Thank you. Sorry to side earlier.
Since Michelle interrupted you, I'm going to interrupt you too. But it's a question I want to direct at Brian. Brian, when you were talking earlier about personal use of GPTs, right?
Mhm.
Can you, I think this might be a great place for you to strike a contrast. What makes what we're looking at here safer?
So what we're looking at here is going to be interfacing not with the chat that we would purchase either free or paid for business class. This is interfacing with what we call an API. And in this case, it's with Microsoft. And so Microsoft has thousands of AI models that we can use that are purpose built for a particular task. There could, like, an example might be one that does, that's able to extract invoices really well. Another could be conversational. Another could be image. Another one could be audio to text. So they have a number of
Mhm.
different models, and all of those models are under that Microsoft privacy umbrella as well.
That's where I was going to go. So it sounds like what you're saying is that this might be less likely to make poor Stephen Hicks's head explode.
I
Oh,
think
well,
he
in
would
that case, we
be
should do the
okay with
opposite.
it.
You think he'd be okay? I mean, his head might explode anyway, just because he's so busy. But it's vastly safer. It's
Correct.
nothing's perfect, and Stephen will be the first one to tell you nothing's perfect. But it's vastly safer from a privacy and from a security boundaries perspective.
Different use case too is what I'll say. This use case is very much orchestration. It's flow. Eugene is doing a great job of showing like what this could look like for expenses, but really imagine anything that you do
Mhm.
over and over again as a process. This would be how we would do that intelligence layer for that. We wouldn't use ChatGPT. We wouldn't use Claude, the chatting version of it. We would interface
Mhm.
with the API, and we might use those same models, but they would be from the API under that Microsoft umbrella.
Thanks, Brian.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Eugene.
thank you, Eugene. I appreciate it.
Let me switch back and I'll wrap up a couple items here and then we'll get to a Q&A. So ultimately in here, one thing to note, and I tried to highlight it before, as soon as we have, and once again, don't get glossy eyed, I don't want to lose anybody, but AI Foundry, as Brian had alluded to, has over 11,000 models. So you could use anyone that you'd like in there that's actually supported.
I
Um,
have decision paralysis just from this list.
yeah. When in doubt, let us know because you don't want to overpay for the LLM for the usage that it actually does. Picking a smarter model doesn't necessarily get better results. A better prompt gets better results.
That's a good point.
So going through here, let me just wrap up. You notice we're iterating through these. Hey, this was the PDF document. Notice it's even grabbing that receipt, pulling information in, comparing it, even breaking out that we even got a $100 gift card somewhere in here for signing up early. And no, you're not getting that. That was mine. So uh, it'll go through here. We'll advance to a couple more. As this is going through, let me just wrap up, give you some of the big takeaways today. So ultimately, we're showing how this integrates with Teams and Outlook and a couple other items. But ultimately, we're logging these decisions inside of Dataverse. But again, accounts payable. There's either a connector to it that I can log to your system directly, or if there's an API, we can actually write a custom connector that connects to it on behalf of it. So imagine user never even has to log into that system to submit it or approve it. It can actually be done natively where you're at right now.
We'll take it one extraction layer if we have access to the financial system where expenses are actually recorded and sent into the accounts payable, accounts receivable system. On manager approval just through Teams, it automatically goes in and skips the whole finance having to deal with crappy receipts that have beer stains on them.
Correct. Now, it's not going to make a better picture, a poor picture better. So once again, there's just,
Fair.
but hey, ultimately at the end of the day, let me give you the ROI. Why am I doing all this? So, hey, I told you everything's being evaluated against a policy document. So different roles, different categories, different anything else. You probably have these. Here's the one I want you to focus on. So imagine next week your policy changes. You're not paying a developer to come in here and actually write all of your business rules and recode them and retest them. You just point the model to the new policy. And the next time somebody sends something in, it's evaluating it immediately, including the routing rules or multi-stages or who it should go to if it's over a certain amount that needs manager approval. That's all actually put in there. You're letting the AI extract that information and send it on. So if that's not ROI, I don't know what is. Ultimately, hey, thanks for attending. Jason, I'm going to transition this back to Jason. If you ever have any questions of how this AI could work for you on your behalf or anything, hey, let us know. But again, this was just one example. This could be used in a number of different use cases, including in, going beyond, hey, invoice validation, contract compliance, any document intake or workflow. All of this applies. This was just a simple example for somebody to, oh, wow, I've got an idea of how to do this and how much time will this save? How much efficiencies will be gained from somebody not even having to leave the system, or entering the wrong information or sending it to the wrong person. So once again, look at it from the total aspect of total ROI and what it's saving on behalf of your users, and you're gaining in accuracy.
That's really good. We've set aside a lot of time for Q&A. But guys, let me know if you can see that that graphic that I just put up there. Okay, Michelle, you want to walk folks through what you did? I think this is maybe our very first co-pilot webinar that we did, maybe a year and a half ago. One of the things that we talked about was, if you don't know where to start, get a user group together, get the people that are interested in what in the potential applications for this thing, because you'll be surprised what happens. I think this is a great example of I wasn't planning on asking people to drop something in there. I had no idea if we'd be able to produce an output. And while we were doing something else, Michelle did something awesome and then texted this to me offline. So Michelle, why don't you just walk everybody through what happened here? Just as kind of a cool thing. It's let's consider it an added bonus today, shall we?
Added bonus today.
Yeah.
I was curious because I saw all the responses kind of flood in all at once, and I was like, wow, we should really kind of figure out where people are landing, because we have clients mostly, probably as part of the participant group, probably a few people who are looking at us to become clients, and maybe a few people that are just curious about what it is that we do. And so I wanted to see where everybody's at. So I literally took a copy and paste. I highlighted all of the text from all the responses that got dumped into chat. I copied them out. I flipped over to Claude and I said, hey, I'm in the middle of a webinar and we asked people what their favorite flavor of GPT was. Here's all the responses. Can you sum this up to me and give me a graph? And this is what came out, literally. I mean, my prompt was, we asked in a webinar what everyone's favorite GPT is. The results are below. Can you aggregate these by flavor and put them into a quick graph? And 2 sentences and voila.
Yeah, and I think the reason I want to, it's not like, it's like it's instant sort of insight, right? Like, and I just think that's pretty powerful. So thanks for sharing that. Okay,
yeah.
We're gonna move into the Q&A question. Let me start. I'll just start off with the first one. We've got an anonymous one. Should we use AI to write our minimum viable AI policy? Brian, I think this one is perfect for you. Why don't you take this one?
Meta question.
So meta, yeah. So AI is really good at a lot of things, including that. So I would say absolutely it's worth getting that first version through. It'll help you generate ideas. It'll help you go back and forth to refine. And you might end up with something that you really like and you want to take to production. We're also here and we see a lot of these and we work on a lot of them to assist you as well, either as a second set of eyes or to help you build one from scratch. So yeah,
I'm going to throw a cautionary tale out there since you already scared everybody at the beginning. It's my turn to scare me. Make sure that you're not just taking what AI puts out. We always want a human in the loop, especially if we're doing policy documents or things that we're going to hold people to down the road. I'm guilty of it as well, right? I'll write something and I'm like, yep, that looks pretty good. Let me shove that out. But depending on the audience, depending on what the document is used for, especially in something like this, you want to make sure that it's reviewed, that it aligns with all of your other HR policy. And one other tip, not only ask it to write it, but go back through on the iteration piece and ask what it's missing.
Yeah, I love anonymous the way that you're thinking. I wish I knew your name so I could I could say well done. I think that's this is the type of thing we need to be thinking about. Great and great feedback there from the panel, right? Yes, write it. You can also use it to do your outline and socialize that outline before writing it. And then you could also have it take a contrarian opinion and punch holes in it. Like it's nearly limitless when you have access to almost all of human knowledge. It's almost Michelle, you were talking about this when we were prepping this week. The question is kind of ceasing to be what can you do, and is becoming like what is it that you want to do?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
And I
I
think
would
that's
say
the
try
frame
it.
of, yeah, you'll likely be surprised. Okay. All right. We've got one. I promised Ross we'd answer his. He says, how do you feel about employees using AI to access business docs like shared files, Google Drive, Dropbox? Me and two of my employees use Claude, and it has access to our business shared files. Are there best practices around this?
Oh, Eugene's got this one, it sounds like.
We take a preliminary crack at that. You mentioned you have
Yeah.
people working with Claude. Are those enterprise accounts? And this is why. With an enterprise account, if you have an employee leave, you can actually remove their access. Even though you're feeding it company docs and it has the connector to it, the important thing to remember is if you guys are using personal accounts that just happen to currently be linked, and you're asking it questions, and said person were to leave, you're still probably protected depending on the account type that you have, and if you told it not to share, but they still have access to all that sensitive information after they've left. Where just like you're turning in your laptop or something else, once you remove their access with a corporate account, you would prevent them from walking out the door with that information.
I'll add maybe a couple of things here. So I would say you definitely want a business class large language model. Um, and there's different flavors of business class large language models, even within a single vendor, like Anthropic, for example. I think they have 3 or 4 different types of accounts that you can get, including business ones, including non-business ones. And what's important is to understand what you need and what do you need to adhere to. So, for example, if somebody has some government compliance that they have to adhere to, that looks very different than if somebody is a CPA, and that looks very different than somebody that's in retail. So you really have to understand what you're going to be held to help to pick the right one. But the starting place is a business class account, whether it's Claude or Anthropic Claude or OpenAI ChatGPT or some other Gemini, for example.
I feel the need to chime in a little bit here on the happier, optimistic side. In answer to the first question is how do we feel about connecting to business talks? We love the idea. I'll be honest, AI is an investment in any business, an investment. You want to get a return on your investment out of that. And your biggest ROI is going to be connecting AI to your business data to get those insights and get those efficiencies and those gains out of using your friendly little assistant that can sometimes be a smart aleck, to get the stuff out of there that you need to get out of it. That is where you find the biggest bang for the bucks that you're going to implement. However, you need to do it safely, as Brian and Eugene both outlined. But do we connect it to business data? 100%. You get so much more out of it, so much richer data, richer analysis, more contextual things that relate to your organization and the way that you work. That 100% out of the box, we would recommend that in the right
Maybe
circumstances.
maybe just one more thing to add, because this is such a good question. And so even when you land on a business class account, you still have the opportunity to make lots of decisions within that account. One of those decisions would be to integrate it with your identity provider. So a lot of people use Microsoft 365. Uh, so what that means is when you turn down that one account, it turns down your large language account also, say if somebody left. Then within the platform actually as well, there's a bunch of nuanced decisions to think through because there's potential risk for some of those decisions as well. And those would be organizational settings that you would set for anybody using that large language model. An example would be, do I want to allow my users to use the Claude Chrome extension? It can be really useful, but there's also some risks associated with it too. Do we want them to be able to use Cowork, for example, in Claude? Do we want them to be able to connect to this particular connector? So those are some nuanced decisions that once you're in, that you also need to kind of think through as well.
Well, that's really good. And we're running out of time here. So we see the other questions. We will respond to folks, but we also want to honor the time investment people have made and make sure we get you out of here in an hour. One of the questions that we want to try to help answer that everybody might be having is, thumbs up if you guys can see my slide deck, I hope. Can you guys see it? Okay, thank you. From an organizational perspective, are you crawling? Are you walking? Are you running? Maybe you're in between. We want to try to help in a lightweight way, help you get answers to those questions and kind of plot your current state, and then also help arm you with some next steps that you might be able to take. And Brian and his team have compiled some of their thinking into a self-assessment that we've prepared, and it's very short. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. There's 11 questions that it answers, and if you're a business leader, it should be fairly straightforward for you to be able to complete the survey in the 10-minute time frame. And then what will happen is we'll be able to plot into one of these buckets: curious, aware, enabled. And you can see the others there. Someone from Brian, either Brian or someone from Brian's team, will follow up with you once you complete the survey to review the findings, help you get a sense of where you're at, and then also be able to offer some guidance as to what are the next steps to move to the next level on your crawl, walk, run journey. One of the things, Brian, I think he wanted to make sure that I shared, and Brian, don't get mad at me if I get it wrong, but we're finding that clients, as we're going through this, they're somewhere between 1 and 2. So if you find yourself there, you're probably in good company. There are some folks that are ahead, but that's what we're seeing right now because this is just so new. As I said, 10 minutes to take. It's www.endsight.net/AI, or you can just use the QR code there. Everybody tested that QR code, so it should work. It worked for everybody except for one person. So I don't know what's going to happen. All right. Maybe that's not what you're not ready for that. We hope you're going to keep coming. We hope you found some value out of this. Our next session is going to be June 30th, and you can use the QR code to register, or you can just complete the poll question that Aaron has posted for us, and we'll make sure to get you registered for that. Also, if this is one of several office hour type sessions that we do next month, Stephen Hicks is going to be doing security office hours. You're not going to want to miss that. You can't really talk about AI without talking about security. Clearly, we couldn't because we talked about it. And Stephen's just is really good. He's going to go a lot deeper than just AI, but we hope you'll join us for that. And with that, at 1:58, guys, we made it. Thank you so much, everybody, for making time. We hope you found this useful. You will be receiving a recording, and we hope to see you on our next AI office hours, and hopefully with Stephen in April. Really appreciate you guys, Michelle, Eugene, Brian, as always. Thank you. It's always a worthwhile experience for me. I love getting to do this with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone coming. Hope you have a good
100%.
day.
Take care, everyone.
All right. We'll let everybody go. Take care now. Bye. If you guys, I know you guys are busy, so if you want to jet, that's A-okay. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes just in case there's other questions that pop in that I might be able to answer.
Okay, sounds good. I have another meeting coming up, so I better jump, Jason.
Right on.
I'd love
Eugene,
to circle up later.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's make sure to do that. And Eugene, I really love what you demonstrated here. It really is a powerful example of what's possible.
If we had more time or had the full hour, we'd be able to actually show the conditional steps, like, and how do I build to go to multiple people, or when it's only over a certain item. But happy to put it together. Hopefully it was relatable.
Yeah, right on. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and shut down here. Thanks again for making time, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye now.